When I was 16, if you came to my room, there was ripped out pages of magazines all over my walls of like Helena Christensen and like Cindy Crawford, cut to 25 years later, I'm doing their hair.
Our guest today is an indisputed industry icon, none other than Harry Josh.
When I see a lot of these younger hairdressers and the generations that are coming up, I see them with their Louis Vuitton bags and their Balenciaga sneakers. Wow, you're spending a lot of money to look a certain way. The problem with the world is that we're all chasing something, but not really looking for long-term fulfillment. Rarely read my articles. I rarely watch or listen to a podcast after I'm done it, regardless of what people are commenting underneath or like, that was inspiring, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. If I give someone else power to make me lifted, then I'm screwed.
You don't want to be apathetic. You want to be aspiring. You want to be pushing yourself. You want to be working hard, but then you don't want that ambition to consume you such that you're never finding happiness or fulfillment in the moment. How do you find that middle ground?
So
Welcome to The Millionaire Hairstylist, where our mission is to improve the financial well-being of hairstylists and creative professionals. Our guest today is an indisputed industry icon, none other than Harry Josh. He's done hair for people you might know, Gisele Bündchen, Gwyneth Paltrow, Priyanka Chopra, and many, many others. He's the man behind Harry Josh Pro Tools. You probably have one of his famous mint green blow dryers at your station right now, and he invented the ombre while we're at it. But that's not actually what we cover in this conversation with Harry. Instead, we focus on something that he feels is more urgent and important than ever, and I think you'll agree. And that is the mental and spiritual well-being of creatives and hairstylists. We'll cover everything from Harry's 3 daily habits for staying spiritually and mentally centered, how to counteract the negative impact that social media is having on hairstylists, and fun things like, how to throw the biggest party in New York every single year. It's a conversation I know will have a positive impact on you today, and I'm so excited to share it with you. Let's get right into it. Here is Harry Josh on The Millionaire Hairstylist. It's Harry. It's funny because when we initially, Cash said, "Oh, Harry's going to come on the podcast," immediately my mind went to like Harry Josh Pro Tools and Giselle and Vogue and all this stuff. And then as we started hearing your story and doing our homework, I was, oh my gosh, Harry Josh is the Rick Rubin of hair. Your vibes are where it's at, and your perspective. And so, and it's funny too, Harry, because we talk to hairstylists on both the podcast and on our Instagram account. And again, I think we came into the conversation when Cash and I first started doing this, and we still do focus on career success and finances and the things that really matter to people being able to pay their rent and grow. But over time, we always do learn that there's a need and a hunger in the industry to understand mindset and to understand how to approach clients in the chair and how to approach problems and challenges. And it seems like this is something that you've really doubled down on, wanting to focus on and wanting to really make your platform. And that's a good place for us to start.
I mean, yeah, I would definitely say that it's less important to be the best at what you do in terms of your abilities. It's more important to be best at creating an energetic vibration.
Wow.
That will permeate back to you. There's a million people that know how to use a blow dryer and a curling iron. A million. And some are better than others, and yet the ones that are the best are nowhere to be seen. And so what is blocking them? You work in salons. I've worked in salons for 30 years. We'll see in a salon someone is a busy stylist, and then you'll have someone gossiping in the dispensary that you're like, that person's not even that good. I cannot believe they're booked 3 months out in advance. What a joke. I'm a trained hair cutter. I have won awards or whatever it is. So then let's just look at that, since that's just come up right now. Salon culture, one person's busy, another person is not, yet this other person, textbook-wise, is more talented and can do more and whatever. So where's the disconnect? Why are the customers not lining up for this person? Because there's a certain frequency that's being emitted in the exchanges in that chair for that half hour, 45 minutes, hour, however long you're in that chair. There is a frequency exchange. And if that customer is titillated by the conversation, by the kindness, you don't have to be better than that person. You just have to be good enough that they're like, hey, it's just a friggin' haircut. You know what I mean? It's not like, you're getting a heart surgery. You know what I mean? You want to look good. You want to feel good. You're paying someone, so you want that exchange to be great. You know what I mean? So you're paying for this whole thing, and you're just like, you made me feel awesome. I love my hair. I just wanted to trim, which is what basically everyone really wants. Very rarely are you doing extreme makeovers all day long in the chair. It's just like a basic cleanup, you know? And you're like, I want my hair trimmed, and like, I want to have a good time and good banter for that 1 hour we're together in that chair. So that person who's putting all that extra effort, not into the cut, but into creating a wonderful experience from the minute they walk in the door till the minute they leave the door, that is what is going to bring back business. You're like, what a great person.
Okay, so I've known of you since the moment I started considering doing hair. I came up in the industry coming out I started in 2008. You were already very well established at the time. Everyone talked about Hairy Josh. I was like, I wanted to assist you so bad. I was assisting Sally Hershberger at the time, and I was assisting a few other people. And so I saw these people succeeding in the industry, and my perception was that you needed to be this hard killer type that was like cutthroat and almost narcissistic and almost so self-obsessed with ambition that's what it took to cut through in the industry. And then
but that's true. That is true to some degree. To some
degree,
say,
I think
the people who do get that attention do operate like that, and that's okay because there's room for everybody. You know what I mean? It's just like, how do you want to fit?
But it's not what you would prescribe, Harry. I mean, that's not what you would say.
Not for me, because right. I'm looking for the problem with the world. Forget hair. Is that we're all chasing something. It's this high. It's this like wanting to bust a nut. You know what I mean? But not really looking for long-term fulfillment, which means if I put the importance, why I never wanted to become, I rarely read my articles that have been written about me. I have a book like this thick over the last 30 years. I rarely watch or listen to a podcast after I'm done it. And the reason why, regardless of what people are commenting underneath or like, that was inspiring, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, if I give someone else power to make me lifted, like, oh my God, I need you to tell me something good so that I can feel great, then I'm screwed. I'm giving the power to every single person, agent, audience member, strangers for the most part. For the most part, we are doing everything for strangers. Your friends love you no matter what. Your family loves you no matter what, whether you're cool, famous, rich, not rich, good looking, not good looking, whatever, muscles, no muscles, hair, no hair, like whatever it is that you are. And so many of our industry, because we are a visual industry, we have a lot of these people who just think, I got to look the part, I got to be the part, I got to be a diva, I got to be this, I got to be that, got to be the best. To hell with everyone else. I worry when I see a lot of these younger hairdressers and the generations that are coming up who spend money. I see them with their Louis Vuitton bags and their Balenciaga sneakers. And I'm like, wow, you're spending a lot of money to look a certain way. And this job you're in is not going to last at the level that you're working. There will always be another 100 hairdressers coming into the marketplace every year. When I first started, it was smaller.
If someone's coming to you and saying, hey, I want to succeed, I think it sounds like what you're saying is don't be chasing an aesthetic. Don't be chasing what you think success looks like. If you can't find success and fulfillment in the moments you're in right now, then what are you doing?
You're never going to find it. Yeah, you're never going to find it. You're never going to find it. If you can't be happy with like the 3 almonds you have, even though you want an almond tree, you will never get that almond tree because everything is perpetually in the future. I will be happy when I get my first cover. I will be happy when I secure my first international press tour with a celebrity. I will be happy when I have more followers than this person. You are constantly putting yourself in a position of competition. I'm only successful if people are below me.
What woke you up to this in you? What woke you up to the fact that, seeking contentment through achievement is never ending?
I think when I was 21, I stumbled across a book called not the Life You Were Born to Live, Way of the Peaceful Warrior. I was reading another book of this author, but his name was Dan Millman. He's a spiritual self-help author. Something about that author, when I read his book and the journey of this character that was kind of finding enlightenment, mirrored a lot of what I was feeling that this character was going through until this kind of like mythical, spiritual teacher guides him through and he's like, you're chasing this, but really what you want is this. That sat with me dormantly, meaning processed it, read it, put it in the back, and I was like, this, I want to be famous. You know what I mean? Like, I still want to be good looking. And
I'm glad to hear that you've experienced the ambition part too. I don't.
No. I wanted all that. So I put it in the back of my head, but somehow the seed was very planted. And as my success grew and, things happened and opportunities came to me and big opportunities and lots of recognition, I found no matter how much I was getting, it was not changing the dial inside of joy. It just wasn't. I'm like, okay, cool. Now I felt like I had to work harder to be like a certain way now. I'm like, okay, now my level's this. So I have to keep doing this to make sure that I don't slip from this. And it was all these things. And I felt like I am constantly chasing stuff in order to be happy instead of just being like, hey, looking back at my journey and be like, hey, you came from a small immigrant family, slept on a floor, growing up, had no money, wasn't cool, made fun of for being ethnic. There was no tastemakers that were ethnic. You know what I mean? At the time, there was no Indian guys ruling fashion. Like, that was just not a thing.
Triple R wasn't the biggest movie on Netflix.
Exactly. So it was a different time, but I had to have this kind of unwavering faith. Right. And that's really what
but how do you balance? Okay, but you're balancing two things there, Harry, because on the one hand, this is like, I feel like the dichotomy of, again, I work in film. And so I have a similar experience of, you want to, it's like, you don't want to be apathetic. You want to be aspiring. You want to be pushing yourself. You want to be working hard. You want to be learning. You want to be growing. But then you also, as you're saying, you don't want that ambition to consume you such that you're never finding happiness or fulfillment in the moment. So it feels like there's a balance. On the one hand, you can be the person who just sits there waiting for their dreams to come true, and that won't work. But on the other hand, you're so ambitious that you're a monster. And so how do you find that middle ground?
So I think for me, balance is everything. And really, ultimately, if I'm behaving in a certain way on a habitual basis, I'm a very habituated person. Everything I do is exactly the same. Most people who know me will know where you can reach me from what time to what time. Be like, he's going to be in the forest between this time and this time. He's going to be meditating. My sister's like, he's not going to pick up his phone. He's meditating. And people who create this kind of routine for their wellness, that's where the discipline needs to shift, because so many people have discipline when it comes to looks. The outside.
Their routine, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Gym, workout, haircut, tanning, whatever, brows, Botox, whatever it is you need to feel hot. You put all that discipline there to make sure that the exterior armor, as you walk through, the world, you are feeling like a warrior. To me, my warrior strength is underneath the meat suit, because nobody can take that away from me. Looks will go. Muscle can go. A car accident can change your face for life. If you are using your outer power to navigate through the world, that's a very dangerous place to live from. You will crash.
We're getting into the topic of identity here. And I think there's a lot of people who place their soul identity and meaning and significance and them striving to become meaningful in appearance and accomplishment and achievement and all of those types of things. Identity is a powerful driver in every decision you make. How do you address who Harry Josh is? How are you going to show up to things? How have you formed this person?
So for me, I always want to wake up every morning, look in the mirror at myself, and be proud of the choices I've made every day. You did good things, or you did the right thing here. And if for whatever reason I didn't do something correctly, I can't think of something right now, but I don't know. Maybe
it's been so long, since you did anything incorrectly. Fair. I understand. We get it, Harry.
It's about being mindful, right? So maybe I've lost my mindfulness. So maybe I snapped
100%.
my assistant yesterday. Maybe yesterday it was stressful and I snapped at my assistant, and I never do. And I come home and I'm like, God, I really, yelled at him over that. This hasn't happened. I'm just making this up. But let's say that
I never
happened.
heard that story.
But I would then correct that. A text, a message, a phone call. Hey, listen, I was out of line with the way I did that, said that. I'm really sorry. Something came over me when I did it. You're not involved. Please forgive me. You know what I mean? And can we move forward throughout this? So this is an important part of your daily check-in. Is there anything you did today that you wish you could have played out differently? Is there anyone that
do you ask
text?
for forgiveness? Do you believe in that concept?
Oh my God. I talk to Spirit all day long. I talked to them right before I got on this call. I want to know
more about this.
Yeah, so I'm not religious Yeah, so I'm not
Right.
religious per se. I never grew up with religion. I never went to a church, never went to a temple, never went to anything. My dad was always like, be a good person, create a moral compass for what you believe in, and trust that every religion has something great to offer you. And take the nuggets from whatever feels good when you hear it, use that. So for me, I was never regimented on that. So, but I do believe in something bigger than me, because if I didn't believe in something bigger than me, there's no way I could have had what I had. Every single thing I've ever wanted has happened. When I was 16, if you came to my room, there's posters from Vogue, not posters, like ripped out pages of magazines all over my walls of Helena Christensen and like Cindy Crawford. Cut to 25 years later, I'm doing their hair. But at the time, I'm a suburban kid who's Indian, who's not, being, ushered in as like the cool ethnic guy, different now 30 years later. Like, it's all about it. It's all about that now. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're like not cool unless you're ethnic. You know what I mean? So it's a totally different thing. So I came in a different way, but I remember just always being grateful. And even though, like, anyone who wants to hear my whole journey of how I got here, it's a separate podcast and that exists on my Instagram. You can hear my, 12 journeys, 12 years to overnight success. But I suffered like crazy in terms of someone else hears that, they're like, oh, how horrible I would have quit. How horrible I would have left. How horrible I would have just walked away if that was what I was experiencing. But to me, I was so grateful that I had gotten another day to play in this universe. And it was always the mindset of like, oh my God, I have another chance to reset today. Every breath is a new breath to change something. I could change the whole course of this dialogue.
There's a dynamic there, which I have heard in your story, which is gratitude and patience.
Totally. And it's not, you can never, if your focus is the end result, then you will never enjoy your life. Because most people are like, once I'm there, I'm cool. I'm good. You know what I mean? Once I have this much money in the bank, once I get this many covers, the partner, the body, the fame, the Instagram numbers, whatever it is, if you feel like that's your benchmark for success, that benchmark is just going to keep moving. The goalpost is going to keep moving because you don't even know how to be happy with whatever you have.
Can I go on a limb and ask something? Because again, I know we're jumping around a little bit, and I do encourage people to cover your story more in depth in the other conversations you've had. I love this place we're in mindset. You have something, Harry, which I think is kind of somewhat rare. Lots of people work with very famous people. Lots of people work in very big magazines. You've built relationships with people that are very strong. You've built relationships with people who are very famous that are very strong. And again, I'm not talking about like cover story relationships. I'm talking like really deep relationships.
Yeah, like vacationing with their family and kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what do you think is the relationship between this mindset that you're talking about and maybe also not the chasing and not the ambition and the relationships with people who live so much in that ether of ambition and fame?
I think what I've been fortunate enough to do is, if you believe in the law of attraction, like attracts like energy. So in this world of superficiality and glamour and fame and success, peppered in, there are some grounded, solid people that truly think and believe the way I'm sounding to put out right now.
Yes.
And when you have those moments with those people, as you work with them, light recognize light. So you're like, I am seeing something in this person that is so authentically to the core of who he is. So much celebrities and famous people and musicians and anyone else who's somebody, I guess, in the terms of media, are the cleverest people there are. Not because they're smarter than anyone else. They know how to read people. They can sense a room and you're like, oh, you are such an ass kisser. Oh my God, you're such a brown noser. Oh my God, you're this. And this girl wants to have dinner with me because she thinks I'm going to connect him to this person.
Right.
They're aware. Right. They know all that.
Know.
I have never
100%.
played a game ever. I am there. Like whether you are the housekeeper and I'm doing your hair, or you're the Queen of Sheba and I'm doing your hair, my energy does not change. I'm giving you 100% loving, kind, warm, gracious energy, doing the best job that I can do, and making you feel that my conversation is authentic to me and the things that I'm curious about you. And when that happens and you're in an industry that is so superficial, people remember that energy. And they're like, let's have him come back. It was a very nice day when he was here. I'm making this up. You know, like, I'm not sure what.
No, but
like,
it has to be the case. Of course. Yeah.
I've heard it a million times. I've literally heard it a million times. You're just like, you were such a joy to have on set. Thank you so much. You know what I mean? Multiple times I've been on jobs with producers, whatever. They're like, because I have zero ego. So I'm the first person who'll be like, if I see a grip struggling to put up a flat and I'm not doing anything, I'm going to run across the room and be like, dude, let me grab that. Let me grab that. Here, pull it in, just screw it in now. You know what I mean? Like, why can't we, you know, people remember that. I say hi to everybody on the set. I walk in, I'm like, hey, I'm Harry. Hey, I'm Harry. Hey, I'm Harry. Hey, I'm Harry. You know what I mean? Assistants are like, okay, weird. He's just saying hi to me, like, you know, photo assistants, you know? But then the reason why I do that is like, A, I want to show that we're all in it together. Just because I have, I don't know, the most followers of the room that day doesn't make me any better than you. We're all here to get a great picture together. And I am going to end up standing next to you while you're doing the lights the whole day. So I might as well just say hello and like we can have banter now throughout the day.
Right.
Crack
Let's
a joke.
all have fun.
Let's all have fun. Let's all.
We're going to work 14 hours. We might as well enjoy each other's company. Harry,
totally.
I have to brag for a second on Cash just a little bit because, you know, Cash, you mentioned a part of your story where you were becoming everyone's assistant. And Harry, when I started working with Cash on set, this was not the beginning of our relationship. We were friends first, and then later I came into the industry. And Cash is the kind of person, and to this day, we did a podcast about this, and I said this, so I'm repeating myself a little bit, but Cash is the kind of person where his onset energy and the way that he treated everyone, just like the way you're talking and the way you're describing, is such that to this day, even though Cash is in Dallas now and not New York, when I meet people who knew Cash, everyone, the first thing they say is, oh my God, I love Cash so much. You know, like, oh, I love working with Cash. He was the coolest guy. And it was exactly that, is that Cash, I'm not going to talk about you like you're not here. You would introduce yourself to everyone. You were, you know, we talk about this, you know, the producer says you have 15 minutes. It's like, okay, great. I'll do 15 minutes of what you need on this hair. You have an hour. Okay, great. I have an hour. Not like I only have 15 minutes, you know, just that calm and that presence and that confidence.
Being accommodating.
Yeah.
And not being a diva and being difficult, being like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, all right.
And making your problems everyone else's problems. That's a classic thing that happens on set. It's like, I'm having a problem, and so now I want everyone else to know that I'm miserable or that I'm unhappy or that I'm stressed or that things aren't going well for me. And I'm going to talk to everyone. And it's like not bringing that to the broader crew has such an impact on people perceive you. And then they feel safe to feel however they're feeling, and they feel seen, and they feel like they're enjoying their day with you, as opposed to like, oh, there's that ball of chaos that I just want to avoid.
Yeah, no, totally. It is so true. And then like on the flip side, so let's say you are somebody who is an artiste and you need your hour, otherwise it just won't look good. And yes, that hour actually did make a difference because that person's hair looks spectacular now. You know what I mean? So let's say that's how you operate and, you know, you're very talented at what you do. If you are missing that other aspect of yourself, ultimately, no matter what you have public facing in terms of notoriety, the right clients, the right attention, you still aren't happy. I promise you, you're not happy. Because if you're posting thirst traps all day long and you're a millionaire and you have all these things, it's because there's a hole inside your soul that you, no matter how much money comes in, how many girls come in, guys, whatever it is, business, opportunity, whatever, it doesn't fill it. It's just a temporary Band-Aid that just bursts open when your heart feels like it needs another lift again.
If you are a creative professional who wants to improve your relationship with money, go to millionairehairstylistpodcast.com, create a free student account, and you can access an entire library of educational resources geared at improving your financial well-being, including a lesson on the 3 phases of wealth building for creative professionals. Go to millionairehairstylistpodcast.com and sign up today.
Did you ever walk into a set? And I remember having this happen a couple times. And one, Jordan, I want to call back to what you said. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Harry is actually, and 2 people, Harry and Alexei Lubomirsky are 2 people.
Another guy who I love and adore more than anybody. He's amazing. Amazing.
He's literally the prince of this. If you're the Rick Rubin of this, he's the prince of this. So you guys are the
100%. I mean, yeah, he's exactly like that. Yeah.
So like getting the opportunity to shoot with Alexei for like a decade, and then hearing like, I knew all of your assistants, Harry, and like the things people would say about you was like, yeah, that's who I want to be like. That's the reputation I want to go down. I'd see Alexei on set all the time, and I'd just be like, that's the type of person I want to be. So there were people who came out of that 90s era, I think, who kind of shifted for me what it meant to be happy and successful and do this career and be around people you enjoy and like. And at a certain point, after kind of modeling out what I wanted to be, I could walk into a room and I'd start seeing, oh, that's toxic, or whoa, this is an unhealthy person. Like you could see it immediately in a room. And you talk about this concept of like protecting your energy. I remember just kind of being like, ugh, like, you know, you get this like feeling when you're around certain people in a room that's just like stuffy. How do you protect yourself?
I kill them with kindness. I'll let them roll their eyes as much as they want. I will be unaffected by that. And I will be beyond gracious. Yeah, I will be beyond gracious and kind and loving. And literally, if there's some gossipy conversation going on, I'll just find a way to just slip out of that conversation and be like, hey, I'm going to get a glass of water, you know, until it's my turn.
Do you habitually avoid gossip? Do you think that's a toxic trait?
Oh, completely.
Because gossip is a real draw to it. People like...
No,
like
people, yeah. Listen, I've definitely had moments. I'm not going to say I'm a saint, like, you know, where I've like listened and like been like, oh, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know
she did.
Like, yeah. So I've definitely felt that, but I don't engage. I don't keep digging further where some people are like, oh, and then also then I'm like, okay, cool. That was fine. I'm walking out now. So, you know, that is definitely been something that I just also, and also again, when you emit a certain frequency on such a regular basis over multiple years, the universe rearranges everything to fit with you. So I am very rarely in a shoot with monsters.
Right. Because you're constantly self-selecting your world such that the people that connect with you want to work with you again. The people that want to just talk shit and think that you're, you know, that you don't fit into that, you don't see, so it's like your world is constantly rearranging so that you're spending more. I often tell people when in the film world, I'll say, when you're working on a feature film, even if you're a PA, always try and pick the script that you think is really beautiful and good. If you're choose between two movies, even if you're just a production assistant, pick the script that you really believe in, because the likelihood that you'll meet other people on that set that believe in that creative and they're there for the same reason that you were there. I said yes to the script and I liked this movie, means you're more likely to work with people that you actually click with more, which is going to have a long-term positive impact on the relationships you build, as opposed to I just took the job for the job. Obviously, you have to do that sometimes, but just that idea of like self-selecting towards people that you connect with and that you enjoy spending time around, particularly in an industry where you spend so much time with people and with people for hours and hours and hours, it's like you have to build your community. You have to build a world that is compatible with you.
Completely. And not only that, I would say that it's really this, you can play with magic. You really can play with magic. If you are somebody that really starts to practice, if I had any advice for anybody about life in general, forget hair, just like, how do I find happiness? Meditate. Meditate. If this lesson of meditating didn't work for you, find another technique. There's a million techniques of meditation. Why meditation is important is because we are bombarded more than ever. The human body cannot handle the amount of data and information that's being strewn into us. We are getting further and further away from nature. Our phones, they're making us connected to our phones in a way that we can't even let them go, because now everything's digital and you can't even pull out your wallet to pay. They're like, nope, we need Apple Pay or a credit card.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like so by default, you can't leave your phone at home. So you can't check out and be like, okay, I'm going to leave my phone home. It's like, oh no, I can't get an Uber. Oh, I can't pay for this coffee because this is a no cash place. So as the universe is becoming more high techy, more AI, more all of that kind of stuff, we are losing what it means to be human. And our humanness is superpower. Our humanness is, they say, even science, modern science today says there's 95% of our body is considered junk DNA, meaning they only know the 5%. So this is so overwhelming that if you don't find a way to ground yourself or meditate or check in with something deeper, higher, that's never going to go away, like that will never go away. I always think this, meditation for me personally is my happiest point of the day, because I get to close my eyes, take stock of my moment right then and there. Here I am in a quiet room, you know what I mean, with my partner next to me, my dog by my feet, So grateful, reflecting on my whole life. Like, wow, I've had such a journey. Should the rug be pulled underneath me today? What a ride. No complaints. You know what I mean? I could go to being whatever. And then also, like, if somebody comes and say, I'm going to take away your fame, your money, your whatever, your status, you're like that. I won't need it because I'm in that 20 minutes that I'm meditating. They can't take that from me.
What style do you do, Harry? What style of meditation?
I learned transcendental meditation at the David Lynch Center originally 14 years ago.
Same.
So did Jordan.
And so from there, I got other meditation coaches, and now it's a hybrid.
Okay.
So there's principles of the TM that are still there, 20 minutes twice a day, a couple of minutes to get.
I was about to ask, you do the 20 minutes twice a day?
Yeah. The second one, not all the time. Depends on the schedule. First one, without a doubt. Unless the call time's like 4 a.m. or something, then I might skip that day. But for the most part, yes. And what I know is that, again, not religious. So I'd like to use the word prayer because I don't know how else to describe it. But first of all, just being so grateful for everything. So every morning I wake up and I go, gratitude for everything. Gratitude for my fingers that are nimble. Gratitude for my health. Gratitude for my sense of humor. Yeah, the air in my lungs, the sense of humor I have, that my parents are alive and I get along with them, that my cousins are awesome and they're super entertaining and taught me.
I mean, right there already, I like your life. Do you know what I mean? Like just what you described right there. I'm already just like, I mean, what more do you need than those four things you just described?
Just if you don't meditate and quiet the brain down from all the shit and realize like, hey, everything's actually good. There are people who don't even have a fucking pot to piss in. No food on the table, cold shelter. I have all of those things. And I'm above now 80% of the world. How can I not be grateful? If all I'm caring about is getting my Instagram numbers up to 500,000 or 1 million and doing this cover or this red carpet, I am never going to be satisfied even when I get that. Because you've totally abandoned everything that's actually important. So this is my advice, not just for hairdressers. This is for happiness. This is for contentment in any business. And let's tie this back into business because that's what this is about. When you are the most relaxed, the most calm, the most grounded, the most centered, you are the most creative. Ideas come out of nowhere when the brain is quiet. And that is how you figure out how to navigate something that was tricky. You're like, I know what to do now. Or I know how to respond to this.
Crystal
or I have
clear
an idea.
Confidence. Yeah.
I have an idea of how to do this. And this has happened multiple times in my life. And let me tell you, I'm not going to get into the specifics about them, but even to the point where my agent is like, this is career suicide. Don't do this.
Can you give us one example of a potential career suicide?
I mean, listen, at the beginning of 2020, I was quite vocal about my desire for medical freedom. And I felt that people should not be forced to do anything they didn't want to do.
Wow. In our industry, that's a tricky,
I was ostracized.
Walk, man. Yeah. Yep.
I was ostracized and a lot of people didn't like it. And I had to accept that maybe those people probably will never talk to me again, but I have to be integral and honest.
I respect that.
To who I am. And I don't like what's happening and I have to say it. It was vocal until I was told I couldn't, that it would literally be a problem. So I reeled it in. But ultimately, by me keeping my integrity is the right word here. By me keeping my integrity through the universe of all universes, I ended up doing something that made me so much money. I didn't even need to worry about the work because I stayed in my truth. You know what I mean? I did something else that that I'm like, okay, then just give me. And when I ask for abundance, when I ask for abundance in each area of my life, I don't ask for abundance so that I can have Hermes watches and private planes. I ask for abundance so that my cup is so full it runneth over that I can help everyone around me. That's my desire for never ending abundance. It's not for me to have 6 Porsches and 4 cars and 10 assistants. It's for me to have so much left over that I'm like, dude, I got that. Let me help you here. I'm going to give you a good job. You're going to work for me and I'm going to pay you well.
What is the purpose of abundance in the first? I mean, like, what else would you do with abundance but give? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I want to share it.
You've been described as to me, what was the word that was used? The kind killer. You were a kind killer. Someone said that one time. You were like ambitious and successful and you got through things, but you always did. You were like the nicest person anyone had ever met. And you were also described as magnetic. And I had never had the chance. I met you at your birthday party, like Luigi Moreno and another person was why I was there.
It's not my birthday party. It's just a party. I'm way too anti-narcissist to have a birthday. It was a party to throw a party, but not my birthday. But yes, I know what you're talking about.
I know the party you're talking about. Yeah, the party was amazing. I'm walking in, like Giselle and Tom Brady are there, and it seemed like everybody in Hollywood and New York was there, and it was an amazing party.
I did it for 13 years, and it was an annual.
I mean, that thing had a reputation.
Party. And did have a reputation. So how that party, for example, let's talk about that party, for example. So how it started, a very dear friend of mine named Amber Clapp back in the 90s was one of my best friends growing up in New York. And she wanted to, this was the early 90s where it was incredibly exclusive, like, doormen outside of buildings, supermodels were coming in. It's like, Linda Evangelista, whatever, like her and the next 10
pre-Instagram, basically.
Yeah, pre-Instagram. Everything was private. So it was always about hiding from everyone. And my friend said, we can rent out a restaurant that her friend knows, and we can invite all our friends, which was our clique of like 30, 40 people that were all like models and makeup artists, hairdressers, kind of all that kind of thing. And we could rent it out and dance. So what ended up happening, we did that, but Page Six caught it through the window. So then the next morning, it's like spring fling party with so-and-so dancing on tables, Then we decided the next year we should do it again. And then we did it again. And then by the second time it had grown because we're like, I want to come to that. I want to come to that. So the 30 became 40, 40 became 50. And it just escalated year after year to the point where it was like 300 people. And the reason why this party was always successful is I had a few key elements that I knew that were going to keep it successful. One was you cannot have a room of only famous people. They're way too uptight and insecure. They will not let their hair down. So what you do is you have them peppered in for beauty. You know what I mean? Like good looking girls, boys, they can talk to each other, actors, musicians, they know each other from the same industry, but the meat and the bones are all the great people. My dog walker is invited. My housekeepers are invited. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like everyone that was warm and never gets the chance to ever get invited because you're the help. You're not the star.
That's so
cool. You know what I mean? I invited the help. So it's like all the assistants were invited, all like the, grips and like camera guys and like, everyone that I had a relationship with was invited.
These are all, by the way, anyone who was on a film set, these are champion drinkers, by the way. So, I mean, these are people that know how to have a good time.
Absolutely. So then they're invited to something that they know someone from the periphery, but they're not, and they're also cool, meaning they're not going to go up to this person and be like,
right. Because they're professionals. They work. They get the world.
They work. They work in the
100%.
business. They're not there to. 100%. They're not there to bug these people. They're just there to have fun too.
They're not trying to sell.
So you create that. So you have that. Then the second thing you do is you create an open bar. So there is no cost, which means the poor people can come in and drink all they want, right? So the assistants who have no money, the assistants that can't afford bottle service, that's all covered for them. So now everyone can drink as much as they want and there's no cost to anybody. Fourth, and the most important element is ambiance. You have to have music that is cheesy. If you play cool contemporary music, people start to click off. Like if you start playing like really cool music like Jay-Z or something like that, people start getting all like
interesting.
And then you play something like Stevie Wonder, you know what I mean, where everybody knows the words. They've been to 100 weddings.
Cool in the Gang, Celebration, like an all-time jam. Yeah.
Yes, that you're drunk and you're like, woo, like
I love that.
So you create old school jams that even that echelon of like, rappers.
No one's too cool to dance to it.
They would appreciate it because it was still, a great hit from the 70s, 80s, whatever.
When they weren't famous, yeah.
Yes. So, and they grew up listening to that, and I'm sure they liked it too. That's why these songs are played at wedding receptions and stuff. They're the songs that lift people, like Earth, Wind, and Fire, September, like whatever it is, So when you play music like that, create ambiance like that, there's no hierarchy. I never had a VIP room, ever.
I was about to say, no VIP room.
Never. So that was a problem for a lot of people who came. Celebrities were there. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, just don't come again. Like I know Jay-Z and Beyonce came one year and they never came again because there was no, I don't know them. Just make that clear. I've never met them. I didn't even meet them that night. Every celebrity that ended up coming, it's not because they knew me. The party was bigger than me. There's this party this guy throws every year. I don't know who the hell he is, but apparently
Who paid
hot
for
chicks
it?
come.
Yeah.
I paid out of my own pocket a lot
You
of
did
times.
not.
I did. Upwards of $30,000. I paid up to $30,000 of an open bar tab on my own credit card. So I would do these things because I never liked to leave the house. I only wanted to go out and see everyone I know, and I only want to dance to the music I like. So I created this environment where that could happen, and I could have a great time with my friends, and there would be no snobbery or feeling like they were left out because everyone was included. So that was kind of the concept of that. And those people that I knew through the periphery would then go ahead and invite these celebrities that I never met, knew, or don't know me to this day. So you could read in the paper like Bono, Quincy Jones were all at Harry Josh's party. I don't know those people. They don't know me. They were just in the party I was throwing because they came with a friend who was invited, or a friend of a friend who knew somebody, or just like, we're like, I heard this party's good, I'm going to go.
There have to be moments, again, recognizing that the party is not the goal for you. It's not but there's also, I feel like there had to have been moments for you where you're just like, a gratitude that you could even make this moment happen, and to look around that room and to feel like, how cool is this that my life has led to this moment where I get to have fun with
give back. Yeah, I could give back. And that felt so good. I'm just like, wow, these are all the people in this room I know. You know what I mean? Most part, like at least 75% I could walk through with my hands up being like,
that's a great,
everybody,
and earned not through how many throats I cut, but earned through the relationships that I built and the kindness that I brought and the genuine, energy that I can, the people I connect with. And then here's this world.
Okay, so you're famous at this point. Your parties are in the paper. Everyone knows who you are in the industry and outside of the industry. You've sort of become a household name. You've invented one of the most famous hair looks, or you've been credited with inventing one of the most famous hair looks, ombre. You said you wanted to be famous in the beginning. Did that ever go away?
Yes. I wanted fame and success, and then all of that changed, and I got it. Like, I was on TV nonstop.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on Good Morning America, CBS, Early Today Show, right? Oprah twice. I mean, you name it. I was the guy. HSN, Home Shopping Network. I did everything for a decade. And what ended up changing all that was social media. Once I was exposed to seeing how many other people wanted this and how much they were willing to do in order to get that, I slowly decided that wasn't really what I wanted anymore.
Interesting.
Watching other thirsty people made me realize that maybe it's time for someone else to do this. Maybe I've done my thing. I had a good run. It was a good mark. I'm happy to continue working for what resonates to me. But I have no desire to keep the Harry Josh status. You know what I mean? And so over the last 3 years, I just realized, like, I don't care. Like, social media numbers, they haven't moved. They're not budging. People are like, you need to post. You can't wait 6 months to post. I'm like, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
That
I'm
is
authentic
very
to who I
freeing.
am. You know what I mean? I don't care. They're like, you know what I mean? Like, I know that I'm working with something much bigger. The energy I'm working through is connected to the ethers of this universe. My tentacles are emitting like a Marvel Comics person, collecting all the energy that I don't need to work in the physical realm to get this happiness I'm looking for. I don't need validation. I don't need status. I don't need success in the material world. Success to me is waking up super happy and grateful with the 3 almonds I have.
100%.
Do you wish you had learned that earlier, or is this something you're like, you were grateful for your ambition when you were younger and that was good for a season?
No, you never want to wish anything earlier. Everything is divine, right? Every bit of look how long it took us to get this podcast going. Over a year.
That's true.
Yes.
It's been one.
That's mostly our fault. We went on hiatus for a while.
It was 100%
you were willing,
our fault.
for the record, you were willing a year ago, but yes, I hear your point.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a minute for these things to come together. Yeah.
To happen. So everything is divine. You know what I mean? In terms of like everything's supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen along the journey. So there has never been a regret. Never been a regret. I understand. I have lost so much, I guess, success, quote unquote, air quotes, because of things that just happened, but I let it just dust yourself up and, try again. You know what I mean? Like when I first became successful, I hate to use all these words because they seem so existential, but in terms of what society thinks success and fame is, I was given a lot of opportunities that I was not prepared for. and I fell flat on them. Huge, fashion teams calling, being like, this is the guy, let's use him. And then being like, not so good. You know what I mean? Like
Wow.
that wasn't quite what we thought was going to happen.
Just
today.
in the technique, the actual craft?
Interesting.
Yeah, the craft, the energy maybe might have been off. I didn't understand the brief correctly.
Sure. Yeah. Just basic disconnect. Yeah.
And I'm talking things 28 years ago, 26 years ago, when I first started, that like kind of like the minute I shot up, all this stuff came to me. Massive A-list celebrities. And I fell under because I wasn't prepared. I did not have the experience. So I had all this huge success out of the gate, lost a lot of it, and then had to rebuild to get back up. So, it was a lot of that. And now in retrospect, it's just like, it was all great and beautiful. And had I had not those failures, I never would have sunk to get to a new consciousness. So I welcome everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. I never panic. Like if I were to tell you personal things going on with my brand, my business, it's stressful. It's scary. It could be like, oh my God, I'm going to not have this in a few years, but I don't worry. I trust that if my brand goes bankrupt at noon today and I don't have it anymore, it's okay. That is not what defines me. If you are looking for your status through external adoration, you will never be happy. I do not need anyone externally to make me happy. I am happy. I am happy with my thoughts. I am happy with how I see the world, the lens, and how I view things. So if I'm walking down Fifth Avenue, what's going through my eyes, even though the person next to me is looking the same thing, is very different. What I'm seeing, how I'm feeling is very different. Yet we are in the same world.
Right. If you've been listening this long, I hope you're enjoying our conversation with Harry. Do us a favor to help us share this podcast with others. Leave a review in the podcast platform of your choice. Okay, let's get back to Harry Josh on The Millionaire Hairstylist. I want to touch on something, Harry, because you mentioned earlier meditation. And I think that, it's easy to get caught up in the ideas that we're talking about, but it really does take practice and habit to actually live that out, right? And you live out these things in the small decisions, in the daily decisions. So you already mentioned meditation. If you're on a desert island of sorts, I'm going to use that analogy, even though that's not exactly what I mean, and you only get 3 habits that you get to build a life on top of. I'm going to guess meditation is one of those. What are the other 2 habits that, or I mean, not have to stick to a number, but what are some of those desert island habits that you have to have?
They go hand in hand, but yoga and breathwork.
Okay.
Oh, because yoga,
so meditation, yoga, and breathwork.
Because if your survival skills, and I'm not good at breathwork or yoga, very clear for everyone to understand. It's something that I'm trying to get myself to because I understand the importance of what that is. Moving your prana in your body is about yoga. So breathwork and yoga is hand in hand. The movements are really just to match the breath that's going through your movements. It's less about muscling through the positions. It's more about the breath will take you from one spot to the next. And there's an ancient reason for that, and that is blocked chi in the body. So if you're stressed about something, your body physically, the cells rearrange themselves and they cannot heal. So when you're taking breath and movement like Tai Chi, yoga, not only is your brain going to be good for meditation, your breath is going to keep the chi in your whole body unblocked, therefore allowing frequency to connect to you and for you to emit a frequency back. And then, also just for joints, all that kind of stuff, a healthy spine, that's your workout at the same time too. So I'd say those 3 things. I understand very much so how a Buddhist monk can live the way they do. You know what I mean? Because when you're not tempted by society and the things you see, you can go inside. You know what I mean? But when you're in a city of 7 million, 5 million, 6 million people, and then you're on your phone with 100 million people, and all you see is the stuff that's going on in their lives and what's happening around you, you don't even start to think about going inside. And inside is where all the solutions are. They're not external. We've been taught that the solutions are external. Get to this number, get this client, become this famous, get good looking, put on muscles, don't lose muscles, get skinny, whatever it is. You know what I mean? You're always looking for something external when you really want to realize, just tap in. It's like, clear all the shit away because I know the answers are right here.
You're talking about these external forces, and I can't think of a more powerful external force right now that's impressing upon young people, old people. It doesn't matter what they're supposed to be like, what they have to be like, what everyone else is doing. I want to know your take on social media consumption. I want to know your take on your perspective of like, how do you block out that external force?
It's incredibly, incredibly challenging. I'm not going to lie. This is something I do suffer with. We all need social media, unfortunately, nowadays for work. That is the main purpose of my social media, is to, have a voice and an audience that I can share anything with. Now, I unfortunately am a bit of a scroller, and I know that I can tell when this happened last night. Like, I said I was going to bed at like 8:39, got into bed, I didn't go to bed until 9:45. And what did I do? Nothing. Scrolling.
Doom scrolling, they call it.
And so I'm not perfect. I have problems. I'm working on that because I try not to do that. Last night was a weird binge for whatever reason. I just ended up spending so much time on there. So it is crucial that you do not follow my lead. Do not binge and scroll.
I mean, I'm addicted to love on the spectrum. So we all have our.
But yes, it is toxic. The thing is, social media is an amazing opportunity to spread the word. The problem is it's not regulated. So anything can be shared far and wide, and there's no one to monitor. So a big problem I have is youth being allowed on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's
very
so
controversial
much
topic right now.
So much sex can be found on Instagram, like things that would never be shown anywhere else. And somehow, if someone has like just 2 stars on their nipples, that's okay. This man or woman is in a provocative position with another man or woman in a provocative position, but providing those 2 things are there, kids should freely be allowed to look at these things. You know what I mean? I know how hard it was when I was like 11 trying to find a Playboy. You know what I mean? Just to see nudity. Now, if you're on the phone,
it's
any
everywhere.
kid could see sex any way they want.
Do you support a government ban on social media? Because this is happening in China right now, where they actually had limited access below a certain age. There's talk of that happening in the United States. You support these networks not allowing young people on their platforms?
Listen, I think we are in a crisis with the next generation of youth. They have grown up on these phones and they know nothing of life. They only know what the phone is giving them. They have no survival skills. They have no self-worth because there's these weird animated filters that they put on their faces with their ears and their tongues.
Yeah.
And they kind of want to look like that. You know what I mean? They're not happy with the way they look. They're not happy with that because they're like, I want to talk with rabbit ears on, or I want to talk as a girl. I want to talk as a boy, which is, listen, that's a whole nother thing, and that's all fine and dandy too. But the ultimate problem here is that they're exposed to too much. If you have to be 16 to learn how to get behind a car, 18, I think it is for a tattoo. I'm not sure how old you have to get a tattoo. 21 to drink. Certainly you have to be at least 16 or 18 to be on social media.
I completely agree.
I think one of the biggest impacts is an identity crisis, where now as a young person, you're trying to find out who you are. And you typically do that in a smaller environment, like a town or a high school or something like that. Now you're exposed to all the greatest talent and all the oddities of the world. And now you're struggling to define what being unique means.
You're trying to find yourself in there because you think one of these labels is me.
Yeah. And I think it's that's exactly what can you imagine having that burden at 12 years old, 13 years old?
I got to find out who I am. I'm supposed to be like, I am human. I'm from the same flesh and blood as everyone else. And I'm on a journey just like everyone else. And I don't need to know anything right now. I just need to be happy and live my life. And I can figure out the rest as it happens. There was no coach or guide for me, coming out of the closet, all that kind of stuff. I just figured it out. You know what I mean? You grow, you learn, you get hurt, you cry, you this, that, and the other, and you figure it out. That you need to fall. You need to bruise yourself. You cannot be strong unless and there's so much babying happening to youth that they won't let them just experience the suffering. So many parents want to protect their children from like falling. Don't go out there. You're going to hurt yourself. Don't do that. Like when I was a kid, oh my God, the amount of stuff I would do, just do things I wasn't supposed, like ride a bike too far and wipe out my knee or whatever when my mom's like, don't go down the hill too fast. And I did.
Right.
And you learned. My knee was all scraped. And I learned. And then I never did it again. You know what I mean? Like, so whatever it is, I just feel like we're in such a pivotal time on the planet as humans, and whether or not you are trying to be successful in your job, in your career, to make money, to put food on the table, for anything, the basic principles remain the same. It is not out there. It is in here. So you have got to find a way to tap into yourself on a daily basis, whether that means you losing an hour of sleep because you're like, I've got 3 kids, I wake up at 6, and it's, hit the ground running. I do not have time for this. Create that time, because when you do create that discipline, create that 30 minutes every single morning, you will see your life unfold in ways that you could scarcely imagine. It really is the secret to life, is to going inside. And then the stuff outside will just rearrange itself and fall into your lap. It really will. And that's how I've seen my life. And anytime adversity comes my way, I lose a contract, I lose a client, they decide to go another direction, no big deal. The universe has got my back. It knows what I want next.
Harry, Josh, thank you so much.
This is amazing.
We need a part 2. So much more to say.
We really do. There's so much we didn't touch on that I want to get into, but I do think, Harry, that you are meeting people. I know I know our audience pretty well, and I'm as the producer and spending time on Instagram as well. It's like you're meeting people in what you're saying where they are at right now. This is something everyone is very aware of. So it's both timeless and completely immediate what you're promoting. So I appreciate you carrying this flag and sharing this. All I can say is please come back for a part 2, Harry.
Yes.
Let's continue the conversation.
Thank you guys so much.
If you're a hairstylist, if you're a creative professional, and you are interested in your financial well-being, remember to like and subscribe so that more episodes just like this one show up in your YouTube feed.